Buying a home is stressful. Take it from me, who bought my first house in 2021 at the peak of market craziness. There are so many things that you have to do just to close on a house. So by the time you get the keys finally in your hand, you're probably going to be pretty exhausted. But the fun is really just starting because now you're a homeowner and you're responsible for maintaining an entire house, and there's no longer a landlord to call when things break. In today's video, we'll go over the 10 things that you should do immediately after buying a home so that you won't be hit with an unexpected bill, repair, or other expense. First up, take a video walkthrough immediately after closing. We didn't do this when we closed, and I really regret it. We made a lot of changes to the floors and the walls before moving in, and we don't have any good pictures or videos of what the house looked like before we made all those changes, aside from the pretty poor listing photos. Be sure to open up cabinets and look behind appliances in your walkthrough video, and pay special attention to the areas of the walls and floors that are going to be covered by furniture in the long run. Being able to pull up a photo or a video to figure out where the outlets are located on a wall is a whole lot easier than moving a really big heavy couch back and forth. Making a video walkthrough right after you close is really helpful for future renovations, potential insurance claims, and it's nice for sentimental reasons so that you have a record of how the house looked on the day you bought it. Next, deep clean everything, and I mean everything. Even if the sellers claimed they cleaned, you have no idea how thorough of a job they really did. Generally, sellers are supposed to leave the house in clean condition on closing day, but when we did our final walkthrough, we noticed a lot of dirt and grime, and it just wasn't great. It wasn't dirty enough to raise a fuss to our realtor and the sellers, especially since we were planning to do some renovations before we moved in, but it certainly wasn't clean either. But luckily, it will never be easier to clean a house than when it's completely empty. We ended up hiring this out, and it was 100% worth it. And it actually ended up being a lot less expensive than we thought it would be because it's so much easier to clean a house that's empty than a house that's filled with a bunch of stuff. And we had so much to focus on with packing and unpacking and moving and the renovations that having somebody else clean our house before we moved in relieved a lot of stress. Third on the list, if you think you want to update flooring or repaint, do this before you move in, even if it means that you have to live without furniture for a few months. When we bought our house, we were renting an almost fully furnished apartment, so the only furniture that we actually owned was our bedroom set. But the house that we purchased had these beautiful hardwood floors that we really wanted to refinish, and we knew we would just never get around to it unless we did it before we moved in. What this meant for us was that we had to use the money that we set aside to furnish the house instead on refinishing the floors, and so we didn't have any furniture in the house aside from our bedroom set for several months. We had to eat dinner on a plastic folding table, and we didn't have a couch or a living room or a TV or anything soft at all in the house until month 4. But honestly, no regrets. Our floors look amazing now, and I'm so glad that we decided to prioritize them first because they'll help the house value in the long run when we eventually resell this place. Painting also goes a really long way into helping old houses feel new again. You can definitely hire this out, but you'll save a lot of money if you do it yourself. A white or an off-white color will help spaces feel more open and inviting. One of the best things that we did when we purchased this house was paint all of the walls a nice neutral kind of off-white color. Because all of the walls are the same color, it's so much easier to repatch and repaint as needed because we just need to have 1 or 2 buckets of paint on hand. We add pops of color through our decor and decorations, and it's so much easier to change out throw pillows and blankets and rugs than it is to repaint a whole room. And when we eventually go to rent or sell this place, an off-white color is very neutral and inviting to potential renters or buyers, and they can very easily envision themselves in this space. Also, if you do decide to update walls or flooring or any other kind of renovation projects, I definitely recommend doing your deep clean after those projects are done, but before you move in. Refinishing the floors especially generated so much dust, it was crazy. Cleaning before we did that would have been completely pointless. The next one on the list is very important for safety reasons. You should change or rekey your locks as soon as possible. You have absolutely no idea who might have access to your house. At minimum, the sellers, but who knows how many house keys they gave to babysitters or contractors or unhinged nephews. If your locks are in good condition, you can just rekey them instead of changing them out completely. There are kits that you can buy if you want to DIY this, or you can just hire it out to a locksmith. If you want to spend a little extra money, you can consider swapping out your lock with a smart lock that links with home assistants like Google or Alexa. These locks allow you to lock up the house when you're away, in case you're like me and can never remember if you actually locked the door when you were leaving or not. But I think one of the coolest features is the ability to give codes to trusted people that you can activate and inactivate based off of data that you put into your phone app. I'm unsure if other smart locks offer this, but I know that the Google lock allows you to set time periods for when these codes are activated, say between 1 and 3 p.m., and then it sends notifications to your phone when they're used, giving you some peace of mind that the people that you invite into your home for certain services, like housekeeping or dog walking, can't access your home outside of those designated hours. But at minimum, even if you don't want to invest in a smart lock, be sure to change or rekey your locks as soon as possible after closing. You should also hide a key in a secure lockbox somewhere, because there is no worse feeling than arriving to your new house with a whole bunch of furniture and a U-Haul and realizing that you locked yourself out. Also, don't forget about your garage door. You'll want to reset both your garage door code and the clickers that are attached to your garage door. If the previous owner didn't leave behind an owner's manual on how to operate and change the garage door, just look up your garage door model online and you should be able to find instructions. The next big item that you should tackle is coming up with a list of every single recurring bill or payment and setting up automatic payments whenever possible. The biggest one is obviously going to be your mortgage payment, which will likely include things like property taxes, homeowners insurance, and PMI if applicable, but be sure to double check that those things are actually in there and that you don't have to pay them separately. Other recurring bills are going to be all of your monthly utilities, so gas, water, electricity, sewer, garbage collection, internet, and HOA fees if you're part of a homeowners association. Because this list can be pretty long, do yourself a favor and set up automatic payments wherever you possibly can. It's very easy to forget about a utility bill in the chaos of moving to a new home, and you definitely don't want to be hit with a late fee or worse, a ding to your credit just because you forgot that there was a certain bill that you needed to pay. And then once you set up these automatic payments, be sure to set up a reminder in your calendar every month for at least the next few months to make sure that these payments actually went through, so that you can be sure that you set everything up correctly. And for utilities, make sure the bills seem reasonable. If this is your first time in a home and you have absolutely no idea what a utility should cost every month, it's a good idea to make friends with your neighbors and see kind of roughly how much they're paying. A big water bill, for instance, could mean that you have a leak somewhere and not know about it. Also, keep an eye out for physical mail or emails that inform you that your mortgage has been sold to a new lender, which is very common, especially in the first year, because if this is the case, you might have to set up your automatic payments again with that new lender. But definitely be wary of scams, because when you're a new homeowner, you will get so many scam letters in the mail and emails saying that you need this warranty or this, and it's final notice on this, and your house is going to be taken away from you if you don't do these things. They're scams. Don't worry about them. It's crazy how much junk mail you're going to get as a new homeowner, so just be prepared. The next item you should check off your list within the first month or two of moving in is draining your water heater. This is kind of an odd one because as a previous renter, I had no idea this was even a thing. Apparently, over time, sediment can build up in water heaters from the minerals in the water, and this sediment needs to be flushed out regularly as part of the annual maintenance on those water heaters. If the sediment is not flushed out, it can cause blockages and clogs, which can potentially completely break the water heater beyond repair, which can be a very expensive, unexpected replacement, especially for a new homeowner. The cost to replace and reinstall a new water heater can be between $2,000 and $10,000, so this is definitely something you want to prolong as long as possible. I would wager there's a good chance that most people don't drain their water heaters on a yearly basis. So if you purchase a home that was previously owned by someone else, who knows how much sediment has built up over time. Luckily, draining your water heater is really easy to do yourself. You just need a hose and the right kind of wrench. There are a ton of tutorials online, and I'll link the one that we followed in the description. Next on the list, buy a fire extinguisher, ideally multiple fire extinguishers. These are often included in apartments when you're renting, so I'm putting it on this list because it might not be obvious if you're a first-time homeowner. And just like a plunger, it's something that you want to have long before you ever actually need to use it. Make sure to have one for every floor. For instance, we have one in our garage, just 3 steps away from the kitchen, one in the basement next to the furnace, and one in the laundry room upstairs. Also, make sure that your fire extinguishers are rated for grease fires, at least the ones near the kitchen, because that's the most likely type of fire to occur in the home. And a quick reminder, never ever ever pour water on a grease fire because it will only make it worse. Take it from this guy who learned that lesson the hard way. You can even mount your fire extinguishers on the wall so they're out of the way but still easily accessible. Take a moment to read the instructions on the fire extinguisher so that you know how to use it in the heat of the moment. Full pun intended. And remember, typically a fire extinguisher that's been used either needs to be recharged or replaced because they'll lose pressure after being opened. In a similar vein, you should replace your smoke alarms if you suspect they're older than 10 years. Smoke alarms are only rated for this length of time, and while they will probably continue to still work after 10 years, it's not really something you want to take a chance on. You should be able to confirm their age by taking them down and looking at the back of the smoke alarm. And while you're at it, if you have any gas lines in your home, get a carbon monoxide detector too. Ideally a 2-in-1 that detects both smoke and carbon monoxide in the same unit. Carbon monoxide in many ways is way more dangerous than fire. It has no odor, so it's hard to detect, and it makes you sleepy and groggy. And if you go to sleep while you have a carbon monoxide leak in your home, you're very unlikely to wake up. And just like with exterior door locks, if you want to splurge, there are definitely some smart options on the market for smoke alarms and carbon monoxide detectors. We have the Google Nest Protect in our home, which is Google's smoke alarm and carbon monoxide combo, and we absolutely love them. They're definitely way pricier than your standard smoke alarms, but they connect to your phone and give you regular updates on things like when the batteries get low or when an incident occurs in your home while you're away. If they detect just a small amount of smoke, like say you burned something in the kitchen, they just give a verbal warning, something like smoke detected in the kitchen, rather than blaring that obnoxiously loud fire alarm throughout the whole house. And of course, if you don't acknowledge the verbal warning or if the smoke is more intense, it will blare that loud alarm like we're used to. This feature is great when you're maybe not the best cook in the kitchen and you have a cat who is very traumatized by that high-pitched fire alarm sound. But my absolute favorite feature about these smoke alarms is that they light up in the dark when they detect motion, acting as a really powerful nightlight when you have to make those in the middle of the night bathroom breaks. I know it's kind of weird to get this excited about a smoke alarm, and I promise this is not sponsored in any way, but these Google Nest alarms are really cool, and they have so many cool features that, for us, justified the higher price point. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check them out, but at minimum, make sure that the smoke alarms in your house are less than 10 years old, have updated batteries, and make sure you regularly check those batteries, and have a carbon monoxide detector or two if you have gas lines in your house. Another important item on the list is to change every filter in your house. The first one that probably comes to mind for most people is the filter on your AC or furnace, but other important filters include your dishwasher food trap, the filters on your laundry machines, including the vent that goes outside, and your fridge if it has a water drinking feature. Some of these filters probably just need to be cleaned instead of actually replaced, but either way, they all need some maintenance. If you don't, your appliances can build up a huge amount of lint and dust that not only reduce the efficacy of those machines, but also can be really dangerous and start a fire. Dryer machines are notorious for this. And this is why it's a really good thing to do right when you buy a new house, because who knows how long it's been since the previous owner changed out their filters. And doing it right when you move in allows you to just put it right in your calendar and set a reminder to change them out again in a few months. You can also get your air ducts professionally cleaned, but I've heard some mixed reviews on the effectiveness of this service. It might be worth doing if you have allergies or if the previous owners had animals in the house, but I don't believe there's any actual evidence that shows that it makes a noticeable difference in the air quality of your home. Also, when I showed this video script to my dad and asked for feedback on it, because let's be real, dads are definitely the house maintenance experts in the world, he shared a really neat tip with me. Whenever you change out a filter, take a Sharpie and write the current date on that filter. That way you'll always know when it's ready to be changed out again. And then the last thing on this list is to really make sure that you know where everything is. Things like circuit breakers, water shutoffs, attic access, exhaust fans, and so on. Some things, like water shutoffs, often have components both inside and outside the house, so make sure you know where both of those are. If your basement is flooding, the last thing you want to be doing is running around your house trying to figure out where your water shutoff is. And then, in addition to knowing where these things are located, make sure that you also know how to operate them in times of emergency. Other items that you need to make sure that you do that I did not include on this list are things like making sure that your utilities are transferred over from the previous owners, which should have been done when you closed, and making sure that you inform the post office that you moved addresses and get mail forwarding set up so that no mail gets lost. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if there's anything that you would add to this new home checklist. Thanks everybody for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more content on personal finance, real estate, homeownership, saving for retirement, and a whole bunch more. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you all next week.